All right. I did a whole live stream on possibility and what are you not doing because you don't believe it's possible. And it wasn't even streaming, it wasn't even live. But I was streaming on Instagram. So, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just do it again because why not? I'm sitting out on my deck and I want to go live on LinkedIn. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And we're going to talk about possibility. So it's funny because the whole thing started, and I'm wearing my Budweiser shirt. Spoke for Budweiser a while back, so this is just me giving Budweiser a shout out. What's up? It was the beginning of COVID. Mika and I, and who is Mika? Mika is my fiance. Our little girls were in Montessori together, the same class. They became best friends. And I was like, ooh, that's a hot mom over there, right? And we teamed up during COVID. She did not know I thought she was a hot mom. We were absolutely friends. We did personal development stuff, coaching stuff every day right here on this deck under that umbrella. It was so crazy. It's taking me back. And one day we started talking about possibility. And I said, okay, just imagine, because I was coming out of relationship stuff. She was coming out of relationship stuff. And we were just talking like what's possible in our lives, right? And I said, all right, imagine you get $100,000. And she said, okay, well, where would I get $100,000 from? I was like, oh, anywhere. Just imagine $100,000 showed up in your bank account. It's like, yeah, but that's not realistic. Like, where would it show up from? It's like, anywhere. Like, if just imagine that $100,000 showed up. She's like, yeah, no, I can't. That's not realistic. I can't imagine that. I said, okay, let me take it way down. $5,000. $5,000 shows up in your mailbox one day. She said, yeah, but where would that come from? I said, I don't know, the IRS, long lost uncle that you great uncle that you didn't know you had left you an inheritance and $5,000. You get $5,000. And she was like, yeah, no, I just can't see where that would come from. It's just not realistic. And I said, okay, this is crazy, right? And it took me back to that if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. The power of imagination and possibility is absolutely crazy, right? So I'm going to call this the possibility effect. Like, what is the effect that possibility or belief has in your life on an everyday basis? So, one of the things that Mika says that I do. Oh, and by the way, we dated, then we got in a committed relationship, and I proposed to her last October. So we'll be getting married at some point coming up. So look, the possibility effect, baby. She said, babe, one of the superpowers is that you infuse people with possibility, right? Even when they can't see it in themselves. And my friend Lethea said, and this was several years ago when I was at one of her workshops, I believe it was market domination or magnetic marketing, something like that, right? And there were maybe 15. It was a very intimate workshop, 15 of us. And I said, what is it that you believe I do? Right? Because many times people outside of you can see what you do better than you can, right? Because we just have so many blind spots. And she said, honestly, and first she thought about it. She said, V, you confront people with the possibility that there's more. And I was like, ooh, like confront. It felt like such a hard word, right? But I'm a Marine, police officer, go figure, right? Confront people with the possibility that there's more. And here's an example of what it looks like. I would be traveling to a keynote. I'd walk out, get in the car with the driver or the Uber, right? Or car service, whatever it was. And what's the first thing we do? Hey, how you doing? I'd say, hey, so let's say Chicago. How do you like living here? Oh man, I hate it. It's cold in the winter. It snows and blah 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 on the roads and this. And I was like, why do you live here? Why wouldn't you just live somewhere else? Oh, wife and the kids and her family's here. I was like, yeah, that's what planes, trains, and automobiles are for. I mean, you can always visit your family, but your quality of life every day, day in and day out. Like, what about what you want? What's possible for you and your family and for you to create? And long story short, and they would come up with all these reasons of why they can't. And again, if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't. Right? I'll always double down on that. And what I know is by the time I get out of that car, not that I'm trying to convince anyone, but I'm asking the question of what's possible. Right? Like what's really possible. So fast forward from that day way back during COVID, 2020, when I asked Mika to imagine that she got $100,000. It just came from somewhere. And then the $5,000 every month, $5,000 goes into her checking account. Because that's one of the ways that I take care of my future wifey, right? And there's this whole thing in the culture, right, called the soft life, right? And then the people's other things like the 50-50. I do not believe in the 50-50. I don't want you paying 50-50 of anything. I love being able to provide and take care of my family, right? And it's a personal decision for everybody. And $5,000 goes in her account every single month. She never could have imagined that. And with our conversations and every day and the personal growth that we were doing and the things that I talk about and her own coaching that she did in the self-development, right? From not seeing it even go into her mailbox one time, every single month, again and again and again and again, like full circle moment, right? Possibility. Another experience. I was in the cockpit with the flight instructor and we were working on a certain maneuver. It was nighttime. We were on night vision goggles, NVGs, and he told me to pull back, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, whoa, are you like, wait a minute. And he's like, Armor, I just need you to press the I believe button in this moment and do exactly what I told you to do. Like, all right, press the I believe button, pull back, do this, do this, do this. Nose comes over. It's like, whoa, right? The I believe button. And Les Brown, I've talked about him several times during this 14 days. He said, sometimes we get to lean on the belief of others in us. Sometimes you just need someone else to believe in you until you can believe in yourself. And I absolutely believe that's true. I know that's true. The power of visualization. Do you visualize something if you don't even believe it's possible? If something's hopeless, if you believe it's hopeless, do you even go for it? Like my granny always said, a closed mouth don't get fed. And I got t-shirts made up of that exact saying. It has lips on it with a zipper. A closed mouth don't get fed. We hear 100% of shots not taken or missed, right? Cliche, absolutely true. Talking about shots, LeBron. He visualizes every shot. He visualizes it. He literally feels it in his body, sees it in his mind, going in. By the time it comes to physically doing it, man, it's already infused. There was actually a research study that had a group of people, basketball again, I don't know, because I love football, I love golf, right? Athletes actually physically practice shots. Then you had others that just visualized it in their mind. The athletes that visualized it in their mind did as well as the players who physically practiced. Talk about the mind body connection. That's crazy, right? Now, even in flight school, we had a visualization practice that we called chair flying, where we'd actually sit in a chair just like this, and you'd have the stick and the throttle, or when we finally got in helicopters, the collective, right, which is the accelerator, just like in the car, but not just like in the car. And in the very beginning, I would visualize going around that landing pattern. You take off, you turn crosswind, boom, flaps up, then, well, actually, the flap should have come up as soon as I took off, right? It's been a long time. Come back around, boom, do this, do this, do this, do this. And as my mind made the connection of all the things that I needed to do, and my hands did what they needed to do, my feet did what they needed to do, then we started walking. I would walk the landing pattern, walking around, doing everything. I'd add distractions in. So by the time I got to doing that, right, I'd literally done it dozens and dozens of times. And then if you think of all over flight school, I'd visualized hundreds and hundreds of times, whether it was the landing pattern, emergency procedures, other maneuvers, right? I saw it in the mind so many times that all my body had to do was follow the mind. When someone has a stroke or a brain injury and they say they have to teach themselves to walk again, their muscles, did you know muscles actually don't have memory? It's the nerves, the mind, the links in the mind, the synapses, right? That you have to recreate, that then tell the muscles what to do. The mind-body connection. The NFL player that had a catastrophic injury and the doctor says, you will never play professional ball again. I mean, you'll be lucky if you run, let alone play professional ball. And then it's crazy, and they say it's a miracle, but they're playing professional ball again. What are you not attempting because you don't believe it's possible? And I'll just throw this out there right now. If there's something that you want to do, but you don't believe it's possible, or this conversation is opening up something for you, if you are on Facebook or YouTube or something like that, put call in the comments or DM me privately, and I'll send you a link where we can get on a 10-minute call where I call you. And by the time we get off that call, you will have had your breakthrough. LinkedIn, private message, call, I'll send you the link. We'll get connected. What is it that you're not doing because you don't believe it's possible? And how do you infuse possibility into your life? And that's what I do for my clients, my audiences, and even for my forever woman. And here's the cool part. She now sees possibility everywhere. And most of all, she sees it in me. Possibility is a decision. Decide. To cut off. It's not a choice where you can choose this and this and this and this. Decide. You cut off all other options and do this over here. The nervous system doesn't know the difference between reality and visualization. That's why the whole mind-body connection is so huge. The $5,000 story, that's just not about money, but about worth. Do you believe in you and the possibility of what you can create in your life? If I hadn't believed that I could step out and start speaking, thank God I just didn't know how challenging it is to become a speaker, or that the market was saturated with speakers, because I can only imagine, why me? Who wants to hear my story, and what makes my story different? Like blah, blah, all of this stuff, right? And it could have easily ended up being preparation on ice versus ignorance on fire. Like I literally came back from a conference and said, I'm resigning my commission and starting a speaking business, right? I mean, I had a girlfriend, she had a son, my mom lived with us. Like I had a household, and I literally came back from a conference, Women of Color in STEM Technology Awards conference, right? And said, I'm resigning my commission 14 years in, 5 Army Reserves, 9 active duty Marine Corps, resigning my commission, and I'm just starting a company. 4 months in, I was a month behind in the house note and had no speaking engagements for the rest of that year, let alone the next year. And it was the end of October, beginning of November. And that is definitely a story, an experience I need to share on an upcoming live, because it's definitely worth diving into. It has so many different elements. But long story short, my 1-year anniversary of getting out of the Marine Corps, I had made $136,000. My very first year ever in business. 4 months in, a month behind on the house note, no keynotes in sight. How did I make the turnaround? Because if I felt it was hopeless, I probably would have just given up and gone back and got a job or something, right? With a little, even just a little bit of hope, that little possibility, that seed, that nugget. If I believe I can, I can. If I believe I can't, I can't. If I believe I can, I can. And today I've created the business that I've now had for 18 years. And honestly, right now is one of the hardest years I've ever had. 18 years in the game. There's so much stuff going on right now, right? It's crazy. And that's what I trained for. Life is about the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, the contrast, the happy, the sad, the good, the bad. Even though I don't believe in good and bad, it just is, right? Opportunity. Adversity is opportunity's greatest friend. Because when your back is up against the wall, that's when you get the most creative. That's when your imagination goes into hyperdrive. Look at all the amazing things that were developed during COVID. One of the hardest times. Adversity is opportunity's greatest alignment. What are you not doing right now because you don't believe it's possible? When it was possible all the time. And I'm not talking about jumping as hard as you can to see if you can land on the moon. And I'm not talking about that. What is it that you have inside of you, whether you're an executive, an entrepreneur, speaker, because this is not about any profession. This is about how are you embodying the possibility of your life. And again, I'm going to end right there. If you would like a one-on-one call with me, just throw call in the comments or private message me with call. I'll send you a link. You'll get the link to sign up for a one-on-one breakthrough call with me. And without a doubt, by the time we get off that call, you will have had a breakthrough. All right. Signing off. I thought I went live at 1, but I ended up going live at 1:24. I don't know if I just didn't press the button or something else happened. And actually I pressed it a couple times and it said error. So I had to go through that. But maybe I'll start logging on and getting ready. Like I was ready. I had it set up. But anyway, there's always something to learn. And that's part of one of my friends asked me, why am I doing these lives every day? What's the purpose? What's the outcome I'm looking for? To connect, to be of service, to get creative, to pick my own brain for people who've said, I'd like to pick your brain. Can we go to coffee? Just what are some of the most important things that got me to the Hall of Fame that could be of service to others? And how do I help them get there? Hall of Fame and whatever it is they're doing in life. Your own Hall of Fame, right? The Hall of Fame of your kids, your spouse, your community, your HOA. All right, I'm out. Let's see. PR, I would learn to swim. All right, let's do, off of YouTube. I got you. All right, I'm out. See you tomorrow. Same place, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Let's go.